Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to my personal paradise. I am Donna Theimer, the Department Chair for the Agricultural, Horticultural, and Veterinary Medical Technology Programs at JJC, and I'm excited to share with you my true passion. One of my least favorite sayings on the face of the earth is, those who can do and those who can't teach. I'm here today to show you that this particular professor practices what she preaches. I'm going to take you through the steps today of how to start the planning process for a beautiful landscaped yard, and then I'm going to address some of the issues in terms of design principles, and I'll talk a little bit about a new project that I've just started with container vegetable gardening. So come with me while I take you through on a tour of my personal paradise. When you're in my garden, what you're going to notice, besides soil, amending the soil, you want to put the right plant in the right place. Up here in my entranceway, I've got a lot of blooming perennials and blooming annuals. And every single one of these plants that you see up here are shade-loving plants. If I were to stick any of these out into the full-blown sun, we would not have success with those plants. So first and foremost, right soil. Secondly, you got to make sure that you're selecting a plant for the right location. And underneath my serviceberry here, these plants are going to receive full shade for almost the entire day. Only in the brief moments in the morning does it receive direct sunlight. One of the principles of design is putting plant material in groups. When my friends ask me how should I do this, I always say odd numbers. If you're putting in either if it's perennials or annuals or trees and shrubs, work everything in odd numbers. 3, 5, 7, 9's groupings of plant material appear better to the eye. It's a design principle. It's based on the Fibonacci sequence, and it looks fantastic when you put the plant material together. I love gardening, so I don't mind a high maintenance garden. The third thing in plant selection that you want to remember is that some plants are going to require a whole lot more maintenance than other plants are. When we're walking through my entranceway here, you're going to notice that I have a boxwood hedge. Now this boxwood hedge requires pruning usually about 2 times a year. We really cut this little guy back hard this spring, so you're seeing some of the new growth that's coming out on it. Some of the boxwoods this last winter experienced that brownout that was due to the extreme cold conditions that we experienced. But if you trim all that back, you are going to see this new nice lime green growth that's going to occur on that. It is a higher maintenance plant, but well worth it because it holds its leaves throughout the entire winter. I'm a huge container gardening freak. I love coming up with new types of plant material that I can put inside of my containers each year. The same holds true for the soil that I'm putting down in my containers as what I would be utilizing in my flower beds. I use Miracle-Gro potting soil that has soil control moisture pellets inside of it, which is generally a really good thing. However, this year with monsoon season and tons of rain that we received, the pellets actually held too much moisture, and some of my planters did experience a little bit of overwatering discoloration in the leaves. So what I've done this year to help try to compensate for too much rain is I've mixed about 1/3 of a bag of mushroom compost into my planters this year to help offset what generally happens is too much moisture retention, and it has worked. I do have some planters that are a little bit overwatered up on my porch, and again, you know, Mother Nature didn't get the memo. Quit already. Quit raining on stuff. But most of my plants are fertilized through the mushroom compost. As the season progresses, I am going to start using a purchased fertilizer that's higher in phosphorus. The 3 numbers on a fertilizer bag indicate the first one is nitrogen, which produces lush green leaves, which is a bag of fertilizer that would be high in nitrogen would be utilized on your turf grass. The second number in a fertilizer bag is phosphorus, and that's what helps things bloom and set fruit. And the third number in a fertilizer bag is for root stimulation. Again, that number is going to be only slightly elevated for fall applications of turfgrass fertilizer to help it develop a root system that will get it through the winter months and help it green up early in the spring. But I try to follow a theme. On the front of my house, you'll notice that the shutters and the door are painted kind of an orange-red. So I tried this year, my inspiration piece for the new paint, as well as for the planters, was my garden flag. When I looked at this little garden flag, I said to myself that would be an awesome color combination, because my floral design students know that my favorite color combination in the whole wide world is an analogous color scheme. And analogous means 3 colors that are side by side on the color wheel. So for my planters this year, I've selected orange, and red as my 3 colors to help make my front door pop and kind of tie all of my plantings in together. Once you pass out of my informal seating area that we have up here, you're kind of coming into more of a grouped perennial planting area. I, again, absolutely adore color contrast. In addition to an analogous color scheme, I love oranges next to blue. That color combination is called complementary color combination, and it really makes, each flower makes the other one stand out just that much better. I don't water my grass during the summer months because I feel I'm using up enough water when I'm watering my flowers. Grass can go dormant. Kentucky bluegrass is a turf grass that grows well in the springtime, greens up in the springtime, and then it's designed to go dormant during the summer months. If you are watering your turf grass during the summer to maintain the lush green growth, then you've got to make sure that you're putting down adequate water so that the root systems are going deep enough to tolerate extended periods of drought. For most growers, they're recommending that you apply at least 1 inch of rain or 1 inch of water during periods of drought to keep the rhizomes alive. Again, I feel like I use up enough of my water watering my flowers, so I don't water my grass, and every year it comes back and it's lush and green and beautiful. It will green back up again when the fall rains start to hit. As you progress through my beds, you're going to notice that my planting theme is, I have a curvilinear planting theme. Because I absolutely adore my plants come all the way out into my parkway. And this is legal to do. The only exception with this, or the only problem that you may run into, is if there's ever a problem with the water lines or with the electrical lines or with the gas lines, the city has the right to come in and tear up whatever's in its way and at your expense. But it's a risk I'm worth taking. My husband is also a horticulture teacher, and we met at the Botanical Gardens in Chicago, so he gets my passion for plants, and he is okay with me, if I need to, go out and repurchase some plants again. But it's a curvilinear bed pattern. If you're to look at it from my upper windows, it's kind of cool. You can see that it's based on a circular bed shape, which makes it real easy for mowing. It also cuts down on the amount of grass that I have, again, reducing the amount of times that I have to use a gas-powered mower to cut down the excess growth that's out here. This portion of my yard has a little bit of a drainage issue. We had a large service berry that we lost at the beginning of spring this year, and I'm assuming at this point in time it was due to all the rain that we had. It was kind of a weaker tree all along. It needs to be dug out of there and a new one put back in, and we're kind of contemplating putting in a black tupelo. And I'll show you one of those. I have a black tupelo in my backyard. Beautiful tree that gets great fall color, but it tolerates moisture. Again, it's all about right plant in the right location. I love my perennials. The downside for me is that my yard is really a spring yard. If you were to be here in the springtime, I have mass plantings of tulips. I've got a wide variety of early blooming perennials in my yard, and it's really pretty. In the summer, I kind of don't have enough flowers around here in the summer months. I'm always looking for something that's going to bloom in the heat of July and August. You can't beat annuals for blooming in the hot summer sun. I try to include pockets of annuals everywhere in my landscape because I just think you can't find anything that blooms as well as an annual does during the summer months. These beautiful hosta collection that I have over here with the variegated foliage are going to send up some real pretty lavender flowers on it. In about, I'm imagining about 2 to 3 weeks, I'll get some really pretty bloom out of there. And then this lovely plant that we have right here is called a sedum. And this autumn joy sedum is going to turn beautiful red when the fall season hits. All of the trees that you see in my landscape turn either red, orange, or golden yellow during the fall season, and it's really pretty. That's probably my personal favorite time to be out in my yard. It's cooler, and it matches my analogous color scheme, red, yellow, and orange. Glad that Mother Nature could accommodate my color selection here this year. But again, what I look for in a garden when I'm out purchasing my own plants, I like variety, but I also like textural things that are going to look good during the winter months. I have good bones. My plant material here that is going to maintain the color during the winter months, they're not going to drop their leaves. That's the bones of my garden. The perennials that you see and the annuals that you see are going to all go away. So I've got to have something here that's going to provide some type of architectural interest to my landscape. I love prairie grasses, absolutely love them. They tolerate drought. During the winter months, now these are going to change and they're going to send up a big seed head on top of here. I leave this out all winter long and I don't cut it back until spring because every time we get a frost that affects the branches of the trees, it affects the grass too, and it's absolutely beautiful. Another tip when you're landscaping is that you want to do things, think of it as an extension of the inside of your house. So when you're passing underneath the crown of a tree, that's to represent the ceiling of the room. You want to have plant material that drops down then, and then another layer and another layer, representing the 4 steps of like a forest. So tall material, a little bit lower, and then ultimately you come out into your grass areas or hardscaped areas. Let's take a tour to the backyard. I want you to see the newest landscape in our property. We installed this particular landscape plan 2 years ago, and when you put a new landscape in, you should know that there's a little saying in the horticultural world that first when you put them into the ground, they sleep for a year. The second year they creep, so they grow a little bit. And then the third year is when they actually start to take off. So my trees are in that creeping mode right now. Hopefully next year we'll get a lot of new growth on the plant material.